The Shaking My Head podcast features interesting discussions about topics that have frustrated the hosts, Alex and David. Each episode is meant to question the quirks of society and bring to light subjects that intrigue or bother us. If you're here because something has you shaking your head, even if it's just life, you're in the right place.
Hi everyone, today we're talking about HR with Briana. Do you want to say hi, Briana?
Hi.
Hello. I guess let's start out with why did you pick HR and what's your background in college and work experience wise?
So I kind of fell into HR. My major is Bachelor of Business. I worked in banking and a mortgage company, and I was working in a mortgage company in 2008 when the housing market crashed, which is not really a great place to be. And what I was working on was kind of going away. I was working on participation loans, which probably doesn't really even exist anymore. It's where you'll buy, or a borrower, in this case it was construction borrower, borrowed for an entire subdivision, and so we would sell part of that loan to another bank just to keep the portfolio low. And so in 2008 they stopped doing those types of loans, and I kind of moved into more of auditing, but I kind of got worried just because I didn't know how long the crash was going to last. And there was a position that came open as an HR assistant in the bank. I applied for that. I was accepted, and so that was my first job in HR. And I did a lot of filing, a lot of putting files together, talking to candidates, sifting through resumes, that sort of thing. Fast forward, moved to Atlanta probably 7 years ago. Had a hard time finding a job in HR, so I took another job at a bank. It was absolutely terrible. I will not say who it was.
I know who it is.
But I got a call from the company I'm with now for an interview. Went to that interview. I started out at the company I'm with now. I've been there for over 6 years. Started out as HR/bookkeeper. I sent invoices, I paid the bills, I ordered the food for the company, ordered the supplies, lots of different stuff. And so now I'm the HR manager, and I have 2 people that report to me. So we're a full-blown HR team now.
Nice. Quick question about the loans you used to, or you were talking about. Are those technically subprime loans, or is that something else?
No, this was something else. It was like a business loan type deal.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So you kind of fell into HR. It wasn't kind of what you were anticipating to do from the get-go.
No, didn't have a plan.
But you like it, right? You like it. I mean, that's why you stayed with it.
Yeah, I love it. You get to, meet new people. No day is the same. There's always something random coming up. But you get to help people too, and that's something that I'm really passionate about.
Gotcha. Cool.
And I would say it's also really important to be in alignment with the leadership of the company for HR. If you're not on the same page, it can be kind of a nightmare. So I happen to love the company that I'm with, and I really just agree with the leadership, and it's been a great experience. I don't know that I could do HR for many other companies, but I'm really happy where I am.
Makes sense. Cool. David, you got any questions?
Yeah, so I'll just move into you were saying you have 2 direct reports, and I think HR, people from the outside think HR is just hiring people, dealing with resumes and stuff like that. What is it like typically for you, in terms of hiring or when you're evaluating people? Like, what are the key things that you look for?
The key things that you're looking for when you're hiring someone, I mean, it really depends on the role. So you really need to know what you're looking for when you're hiring someone, what boxes that are a must-have that need to be checked off. Need to make sure it's a good culture fit. You also really should know what you want this person to accomplish in a certain amount of time. So it's really best if you have all of that in mind when you're interviewing someone, and then you interview them on their experience, and you ask questions around what their experience is.
Mm-hmm. Do you do like I mean, I don't know, in my company I think HR is kind of more hands off. They allow the managers, like for our different departments, for example, marketing, you can just post a position with HR, but then all the interviewing and stuff like that is just handled by the actual manager that's looking to hire. But I don't know how that works with your company. Is it like HR does like a pre-interview screening, or do you handle the entire hiring process?
Yeah, so what we do is we'll post it, and I mean every manager wants to do something different, but typically what happens is we'll post it, we'll go through the resumes, HR will do the first phone screen, and then pass on the ones that we think are a good fit. There's a lot of communication between the manager and the recruiter, the internal recruiter, because you want to make sure that you're on the same page. Very important. And if you're on the same page and there's trust and everybody understands what we're looking for, then it can save the manager hours of time. I mean, the manager needs to be focused on, managing and growing the team.
Right. Yeah.
So it definitely saves a lot of time. So HR would go through the resumes, phone screen, pass it on, and then we'll, get more involved. Sometimes, not every time, depending on the position. I might be in a final interview. Just kind of depends on the position.
And I know with some companies, like my company is doing it now, a lot of the tech companies are doing it where they pre-screen resumes through like a computer system now. It's like the AI can search for keywords, basically
Absolutely.
trying to like weed out all that stuff. So you guys do that too?
We can. We do that for some positions. And you can also put in knockout questions. So if there's something specific that you want to focus on that they absolutely have to have, you can put that in as a knockout question. So that resume, if they don't qualify, that resume will never get to you. It's still stored and you still have access to it, but it can, just knock it out. And you can also put out knockouts for salary, like your salary requirements. If you put something that's too high, we can knock that out so that we never see it.
Oh, so you guys have a question where you ask someone to put what their expected salary should be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I always feel like that's a trap question.
It depends. Because like I would say some of our roles, maybe the title is not super clear. Say if it's just like generally a customer support role, that varies so much. So if we're looking at an entry level customer support and someone's been in customer support and it's like tier 4 or something, and they've been doing it for a long time, they're going to be asking for a lot of money. So it's a waste of their time and it's a waste of our time if we contact that person when we're not going to pay what they're asking. So it does help with the knockout question for that.
Interesting. So what about any like moving into like our next topic, I guess, is something I think everyone's pretty interested in, which is, are there any maybe complaint stories that you've heard of? You're talking about on the internet, there's a lot of messed up stories out there. I think a lot of people have, I don't know, maybe not a positive connotation of HR or with their experience with HR. So, like, anything you can share with us about that?
As far as employees complaining about HR,
Like,
or
is there like a weird, like I've heard crazy employees complaints about that. I don't know. Anything that's like sticks in your mind about something that was crazy that's happened in your experience?
lots of crazy things for sure. I don't think you're in HR if you don't know any crazy stories. I will say that my style of HR is not um, not as scary HR as maybe some other companies. I truly want to help people, and I'm really big on, if someone comes to me with an issue, I want to teach them how to get the resolution that they need. So if they come to me to complain about something, I want to try to help them fix it. Like if there's a disagreement with a manager, I might say like, okay, what's the story and what do you think is the best solution for this? Like, do you think it's best that I go talk to your supervisor, because is that going to create some tension between you? Have you tried to talk to them? Are you comfortable talking to them? And why don't you think that through, because that might be the best outcome for you.
Right.
And it's really actually worked in the past, because they went and talked to the manager and said, hey, I really don't appreciate how this went down. And the supervisor was like, I'm really happy that you came and talked to me, and I understand your point of view, and like the relationship was fabulous after that. So that's kind of my side of it, and that's what I want to see happen. I want to see everybody successful. Doesn't always happen that way, of course, but that's just kind of some background. But you're asking for interesting stories. I will tell you one of my interesting stories, because it's I don't even remember who the person was. It was an interview. This is a really long time ago too. But we had a candidate come in for an interview. I don't remember what time of day it was, which would probably be very helpful. But she came in for an interview, and I think maybe she had had a few drinks or was on some sort of medication.
That's a great idea.
Nice.
Yeah, there was just a lot of weird movement, a lot of eye rolling and eyes looking back and forth. And then midway through, she had a notebook and she was like, "This is not going very well. I've already screwed this up." And she just like slammed her notebook. And we kind of kept on with the interview just because it was really wild and crazy and kind of interesting. But when she left, I was like, what the hell was that? That was pretty wild. Yeah, so don't do that.
Yeah, good idea not to do
that. So other interesting stories that I can talk about that are not mine. There's an HR forum that I'm a member of, and there are some pretty good stories on there. So I can share them because they're all, I don't know, they don't have names to them, and I don't know these people anyway. But let's see here which one might be the best one. So this thread on the forum is called Will of Dumbassery. And one of the stories is two employees were caught, quote unquote, making whoopee on the shipping dock, and they were termed. The male filed a wrongful termination suit and brought several character witnesses to the hearing, including his wife. And he brought video. Or no, we brought video.
Wow.
And the employee knew that we had the video. So it's just like, I wonder how that conversation went on the trip home with the wife.
Wow.
Yeah.
American plan of lawsuits.
Absolutely.
That happens a lot, though. I think in the does that happen a lot in companies?
I imagine it does.
I think it depends. I think it depends on the ethics of the company too.
Yeah.
Like if they're actually wrongfully terminating, or if they're not, and the employee's just being unreasonable.
There's some like people who don't realize like work is a. I think people don't realize that work is a professional environment, or at least it's a different environment than home.
Yeah, I've heard a story. This might sound a little disgusting, but I've heard this someone tell me like at their work that they've seen like network traffic where someone watches porn at work at like 8 a.m. in the morning, which
Wow.
I think is totally disgusting. Like that's something you should be doing at home, not at work. And then why would you want to do it at work? It's like, do you want to get caught, or you asking for trouble, or what? But people just do some stupid shit at work.
People do.
I had a coworker, well, I guess if you don't even call him a coworker, I think he came into work for like one day, and then he got caught doing work for or doing something that wasn't related to work on like his first day. So he got let go, and I was like, why would you do that? It's just common sense to not be doing work, outside of out of your scope, like especially
Right.
your first day, let alone any time. So
I think
Yeah.
for me, like the weirdest story I've seen is when I was interning at a company. There was like a secretary, and she had like a ferret, or like one of those, I don't know if it's a possum, but a small animal. And she like, it was her pet, and she kept it in her desk because she wanted to like pet it and like look at it during the day or something. She was like so in love with it, and then one day like got out.
Oh no.
yikes. Did you get to close the desk drawer or something?
Well, so it was in like a factory, like a massive warehouse, and I don't know what happened. Like apparently it got out, and then she was fired later for it, but I think it was like just dangerous because it was a warehouse where there's a lot of moving parts, and if something got stuck, it could just like, if it got into one of the machines, it could have messed up the whole assembly line. But I don't know why you would bring. Well, I guess I can see why, because she's just crazy. She just like, or she just loved her pet so much she couldn't live without it. She was like, I gotta bring it to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of interesting stuff. One of the hot topics right now is, with all the race issues going on right now, and
Right.
so diversity and inclusion is very hot right now. And one of the topics that was brought up on the thread was about an employee having, the HR got in a complaint about an employee having their car in the parking lot with a Confederate flag bumper sticker, and it's like, what do we do? Can we tell this person that they need to take this flag off their car? Last time I checked, they hadn't come out with a solution, but there was a lot of back and forth with the different HR members about, can you do this? Should you do this? So many organizations are banning the Confederate flag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know the answer to that one, but I can understand wanting, to resolve the situation. What do you guys think about that? Is that something that you should be able to tell someone that they need to remove if the car is on public property?
I think it's a fine line, definitely, that you have to walk. I would think if is it public property or is it the company's property?
It's private property.
I guess. I mean, in a sense, if it's private property of the company, you can, and you're my employee, so technically I can I don't know, but then you run into like a legal issue, right? Because it's like, oh, is that like, am I restricting free speech? And you're gonna
Right.
have him come back and like sue the company or something like that, or I
So,
think that's really tricky because yeah, you're parking on my parking lot and it is affecting my employees, but it is your car. Like I don't tell you what you not only do I not tell you what you can put outside your car, I can't tell you what you can put in your car either, right? So if you like put a sticker inside the car, that it could get really hairy.
I mean, I don't think it matters
Yeah.
inside or outside the car, but my question is, are they doing this because it bothered someone, or is it just because of this current situation?
I think tensions are high right now in every, you know, I don't
So,
know. I just think it's a hot topic, and
Yeah.
right. Yeah. I mean, I think how I approach it is, okay, so I don't agree with having a Confederate flag, on your car, but it's also freedom of speech, right, technically. So, um, unless I think like unless someone's complaining about it, or it bothers someone, like unless someone's voiced an
yeah,
opinion.
that was the case. Someone said, "Hey, this makes me uncomfortable. Can you have them remove it?"
Okay. So I think in that case, I wouldn't be like, you have to, I wouldn't straight up just be like, you have to remove it. Be like, hey, we've had a complaint from someone in the office about the sticker or whatever it is. Can you remove it so that, so whoever is uncomfortable will no longer be, or no, who's uncomfortable will no longer be uncomfortable. And then if they don't, then just see what other options there are.
I don't know. I mean, one caveat to that is like just because someone complains, like, does that mean you have to do something? And I'm not saying like that's like we shouldn't
You,
like not care about people, but I think that the company should be allowed to tell them that they can remove the sticker because
yeah, but
you
that's the car is
work for
not
me.
the
You're
company's.
my employee. I mean, I understand like you don't have another car, but it's like if you don't want to take it off your car and you don't want to drive a different car into work, I can tell you not to work for me.
Well, okay, hold on. So real quick, if it was something that was in the office, totally, it's it's his car. I think he can do whatever he wants with it.
Right.
But
He
also,
can.
yeah, you can terminate him for having a sticker on there, but
No, I
would
don't
that
know
be
if you can
relevant
do that.
in that case?
You can't do that?
I don't know.
I don't
If
think you
it
can
if it
because
really
it's
came
his personal.
down
If you
to,
did it to the property, like the company's
but
property, or
it
in the
is the property.
what was
It's
that?
on the property.
But
It's
It's
like
a
property, but it's not
so then
like
my example would be let's say he had like a truck and then he like had a big Confederate flag in the truck and he just drove it in front of the building and parked in front of the building. Like cuz that's going to affect me as a business in terms of any customers or other employees who walk into the building, they'll see it, which is what the
yeah.
sticker's doing.
Well, the sticker and the flag are very different. Like a lot of people probably would definitely notice the flag, but not necessarily the sticker.
Maybe, but someone did notice. So the question is, you have the problem. I mean, the problem's already
Right.
someone's already notified
Yeah.
HR.
The other thing is, even if you tell the person to remove the Confederate sticker, what's gonna make them not be a racist or something, or whatever connotation is with the Confederate flag. Like that's not gonna make the person change at all. So the
True.
sticker is there, but yeah, I mean, if you wanted to just compromise, you take the sticker off, but you're not really fixing the fundamental issue, I guess.
It's true.
Issue.
Yep, that's true.
I'll have to go back and see what the outcome was. If I were in the situation, I would definitely, talk it over with the rest of my leadership team. And if it became like a serious issue, just call the attorney and be like, what are our rights here? And,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know,
that's
I have a
probably
gut feeling that they're going to say, you know, it's something on a car. Just what do you do when you see something that you don't like? Usually you just kind of walk away from it,
Yeah, because
Um,
I mean, there's always something that someone doesn't like, right?
Mm-hmm.
sure.
What do you do about it? Is the question.
Is your company, or I guess both of you guys can answer this. Like my company recently, I don't know if, I guess, yeah, it is a reaction to the current issues. They're now asking everyone to basically take this course on diversity and inclusion. Even though, we do it every year, but now it's like, okay, we have a more thorough class we want everyone to take. And I assume a lot of companies are doing that. I don't know if you guys are having to do that now in your companies.
So we've done that, class before, and are we doing it again right now? No.
Right, as a
Um,
HR person, yeah, are you requesting employees to do it again?
no, but I'm doing something else. I mean, we've had the official, statement. So this is what our company thinks, and we've had emails, and we've had talked about it in company-wide meetings and such. I am working on something now that is in the very early stages, and what I would like to do is because I feel like this is a movement, and I personally feel very moved about what's going on. I've hopped into about 5 protests myself just because I was just very upset with everything that was going on, and in being in those peaceful protests, just hearing people talk in their stories and the camaraderie and just everyone together because they feel like this is wrong and we need to fix it.
Right.
What I want to do within our company is have a diversity group, and the purpose of that group is to celebrate the diversity that we have within the company, celebrate our, the diversity that we have in our city. Atlanta is very diversified, and also learn from one another and hear our stories, and let's, go out and serve the community and do different events.
Mhm.
But what I would like to do for the first meeting is have a town hall type meeting. It would have to be over Zoom because that's just the situation we're in right now. But I would like to talk about this diversity group, but also have people talk about their stories, because I don't think everybody understands the magnitude of the situation and how people have been treated for so long. And I think the only way to have change is to talk about these stories. And I've talked to a few people within the company, and every Black person I've talked to, they have a story. This is not new. No one is surprised by this. Are they outraged? Yeah, absolutely, and they have every right to be. So what I want to do is I want to bring together our company. Obviously, this would be completely voluntary, but I want everyone to know that I support you, and I support this movement, and how can we help, and how can we get involved? How can I, as a white person, help you? And I have asked that question, and the answer has been, talk about it, tell the story. You're here. One of the protests I went to ended up at the King Center, and you're talking probably 1,000 people just walked up into the King Center, and the security guard was not expecting it, and you could tell he was very freaked out. And the host of the march, said, "Don't throw your trash down here. This is a sacred place. Respect this place." And he asked everyone to just sit down. And so you've got 1,000 people just sitting down around, the fountain and the flame. And everyone's just started telling their stories. And one of the stories was about police brutality, and this girl, she said, there's a kid that sits on this corner, and I don't remember the street corner, but so this kid sits there in the heat, and he's selling water to support his family, just a young child. And there's this Black cop that harasses this black child because he's on the corner just trying to make money. And it's like, he does this like every day. So it's not even just the white people. Yes, it's white cops that are mostly doing it. But hearing that story is like, I didn't know. I didn't know that it was this bad of a problem. And then she thanked everyone for being there. And at this march, it's been different, the percentages of white and black and other races, but this one was probably 75% black. And she said, I want to thank the white people that are here. We see you. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. We need your support, and go tell the stories. Please go tell the stories. Please go talk to your friends. Go talk to your people. And that moved me. Just the appreciation and just hearing the stories of how common this is. So I do want to go out and make a difference, and I want all of the employees that work at our company to feel supported and feel like it's a safe place. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what's on my mind about it, and how to help the situation.
Gotcha.
I do want to ask, I think it's interesting how, before we had protests before with the last time this came up, and I think it was social media that was getting it out there. And I want to hear from you, like, how is it different this time? Or maybe it's better, the communication is better in terms of like how you are notified of when protests are happening, and is it just is it social media that's really allowing people to get organized and get out there and hit the streets? How does that work for you?
Well, I think it's almost like a perfect storm. People were stuck inside their house for months with COVID, and you are paying attention, you are watching the news, and to see George Floyd die on camera and everybody watching it, it's very upsetting. And then the stories just start flooding in of this happening to all these other people, Briana Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery. I mean, people are outraged, and I totally understand. And I was pretty outraged, and it really is hard to find the marches on social media. And the first one that we found, I live in Midtown, and you could hear helicopters. And I'm like, okay, something is going on. So we just we saw the helicopters, and we're like, all right, let's go see what's going on. And we get to Spring Street, and okay, there's a march. There are cops everywhere, helicopters everywhere. And I was like, well, I haven't been in a crowd. Haven't really left my house in 3 months, but right. I feel strongly about this, and I'm not gonna sit on the sidelines. So now it's time to be a part of it. And we jumped in and we walked, and the police and the military, it was there were a lot. It was very intimidating. You had the National Guard, you had the police in riot gear. At one point you walked past the interstate, and there's just a line of state troopers. I mean, you're thinking at any second, like, are they going to surround us? Are they going to do what they've been doing on TV and, just throw tear gas at all of us?
Yeah, right.
So it was emotional, because when you hear them, say the names, George Floyd, Briana Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, it's sad. It's really sad. And then you see the police, and there's, just this fear as well. But then you're like, something has to be done. It has to stop. So you keep going. And that was the most intimidating protest or march that I'd been to, because it did die down after that. As far as presence. And then so the next day, we were like, okay, we know there are more marches. We don't know where they are. We can't find them online.
Right.
So we just walked. We walked down Peachtree, and it's like, okay, if we can't find one, then we'll just go to Centennial Park. So we get towards downtown, and then we see the police officers on the motorcycles, and they're stopping at, intersections. And I was like, okay, let's wait here and see. And so we waited, and sure enough, there's a march coming up, and we waited for it to get close to us, and they were like, come on, join us. And so we did, and we were right in front of this huge protest. And, it obviously, it seemed like it was supported because the police were escorting it. And we get to the intersection right where Hooters is, and they're like, okay, we're going to take a seat. So everybody sat in the middle of the intersection, and, they told more stories. And then at one point there's 8 minutes and 46 seconds of silence just to remember and think about everything that's happening. 8 minutes and 46 seconds was how long the knee was on George Floyd's neck. So we did that, and that's actually the march that went to the MLK Center. Again, super, super peaceful. And that night there was a curfew, and, they said, it's 8:00, everybody go home. We don't want any trouble. Just go home. So it was very peaceful. All the ones that I attended were very peaceful. And then after that, there's some Twitter, I think it's called Protest Atlanta, and every day they were updating it. But then I think it was this past Saturday, they got rid of the curfew.
Right.
And the police presence was almost non-existent. And so there were just random marches just popping up. And so the last march we did, because I think we did probably 3 on Saturday because they were just everywhere. We, stopped and got some dinner, and then we saw another one. So we just jumped in. There were no police escorting it. It was just walking through the streets. The cars were, we were blocking traffic pretty much, but the cars were, had their windows rolled down, just honking the horns, putting their arms out in support. It's just very inspiring and a great experience. You see the stuff on the news where they're saying, everybody's looting, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but the marches that I were in were just very inspiring and just a good positive thing.
That's good. Yeah, sure. Kind of related, I don't know if you guys heard about people talking about defunding the police. If you guys know what I'm talking about, any thoughts on that? Since we're talking about protesting.
I don't know much about that. I did, people are, protesting that and saying that. I have seen explanations on it, and it's not from what I read, and I have not gone into this too much, but
Right.
from what I read, it's not totally getting rid of the police, but it is taking away the counseling portions of what cops are doing. One of the main things I believe the fight is for is to track these officers that have a record of brutality and targeting people. And that makes totally sense to me. If you know someone is a problem and has a history, why would you, keep them on until they kill someone?
Right. But it seems like there have been cops that have this history, and it seems like the law is protecting them from being prosecuted for their wrongdoing. So,
well, even there's that story. There's a guy who's I think a private security firm. He's starting to hire cops that have been from different departments for what they've been, either in their history or what they've done recently. I think some of the cops in was it Chicago or something when they got fired for pushing some protesters, and then this private security firm guy decided to hire them. So it's really telling that there's still people out there who don't understand.
I don't think it's not they don't understand, they just don't care.
They don't care.
I mean, the question is like, what do you do with all the assholes in the world that bully people?
Yeah.
I mean, I think as long as the human race is out there, you're going to have people like that. It's just, how do you prevent them from having the power that they don't deserve to have?
Yeah, there's a lot of people in power too who don't deserve to have that power.
I mean, yeah, unfortunately, I think that's just how the world works. The question is how to reduce or prevent these people from having that power.
Georgia recently also had the issues with the election primaries that are going on right now.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, there's specifically in some districts that are more minority, minorities make up a higher percentage, blacks make up a higher percentage. They've had either the voting, because the voting machine is electronic now, because it was mandated that by 2020 they're supposed to be all electronic, but I guess they're kind of behind. They're still getting there. And some of these machines didn't turn on, or they weren't working, and then the lines got really long. And in these predominantly minority areas, whereas kind of nicer areas, I would say, with more white voters. Affluent areas, sure. They were just breezing through the voting process. So there's a lot of issues with that. They're why? I mean, it seems really strange how all these machines are not working in these districts that are, predominantly minorities.
I don't have the facts on this, so take it or leave it. But I believe Georgia has a history of this happening. I believe it happened also in 2016 for the election.
For Kemp?
Or 2018? It was 2018. I don't know.
I mean, Atlanta.
Might be something to look up.
I was just gonna say Atlanta in itself has a lot of history of corruption, like the mayor's stealing money from taxpayers has been happening for probably as long as I've been born. So won't be surprised if other things were happening like this, like what you're talking about, David.
I'm really worried this November election is not going to happen.
Why? Because of coronavirus?
No, because Trump will be yeah, it's too dangerous for everyone to go vote. We're going to have to delay it. Or something he'll make an excuse, whether it's Corona or protests or something like that. He's going to be yeah, we have to push back the election. It's for your own safety. Sorry, guys.
I wonder if that's actually if he actually has the power to do that.
Dude, he can do anything. It's scary. He's got too much power.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see what happens. But I don't know if I'm not gonna voice any political opinions. That's a can of worms. All right. Anyways, back to
what were we talking about again?
We're down a rabbit trail.
Yeah, I feel like we're going down a rabbit hole. Let's steer back into more safe topics. I guess the question I have for you is, does work affect your personal life? And if so, how do you try and separate the two?
I think everybody probably takes home work at some point. You definitely try to separate work. I mean, if something, if it was a bad day, then sure, I'm not gonna just probably forget about it when I walk in the door. I try to. Exercise has always been really good for me and a really good way just to take my mind off things. But I would say one thing about HR is, in any job, typically you might make a lot of friends at work, and that can be a little bit more difficult when you're in HR, because you have a lot of information.
Yeah.
You know a lot of the company's secrets, and you know what everybody makes, and you know people's medical history and a lot of personal stuff because people overshare sometimes. So that can be hard separating those things, but I mean, you have to. It's your career, or I would get fired if I talked about these private things. So that can be hard, especially if you, I don't know, it can just be tough. So you just have to separate it. You have to block it out, and I can see that being hard for some people, but I don't really care what anybody makes. That doesn't. I don't think about that at night. I don't care. Anyway, so yeah, so you put yourself around people that you won't talk about work with, and just have that maturity to turn it off, and you just have to do it.
Is that like the hardest part of your job, is to like separate the two? Like, I can't really be too close to people, or because I know too much of their secrets, stuff
No,
like that.
I mean, no, I just, I typically don't have close friends in the office. I like a lot of people in the office and I respect them, but, are we going to go out and drink till 2 o'clock in the morning? No. I would say the hardest part of my job is, having to let people go. And when that happens, and, when you've tried to make things work and it just doesn't work, that's the hardest part of my job.
So you're doing the actual like firing, or is it the manager that does that, or the director?
Typically it's a manager, but I've definitely been involved in those situations, and it's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
If you enjoy that, then there's something wrong with you.
For sure.
I mean, because you have no idea what their life is going to be like that. You've just stopped their flow of income.
Do you guys usually like give people a heads up before you terminate, or is it kind of just like this is the end? I don't know. I don't know anything about
A termination should never be a surprise to someone, ever. It should never be a surprise.
Sure.
If there's a performance issue, then absolutely you should know. Like, typically there's a verbal warning, there's maybe one or two other warnings, but it doesn't always happen that way. No, because if whatever happens is serious enough, then you could be terminated on the spot, no warnings. I mean, I don't know, if you tell the CEO F you, I don't think he's going to give you 3 warnings over it. He's probably just going to walk you out the door. So it depends on what it is, but no, it should never be a surprise.
Yeah. Any like common complaints you get from people, working in HR? Or, I mean, I guess are there people who, I don't know if this is the right word, but I just imagine like whiners?
Of course. I mean, there's always whiners, right? But kind of what I mentioned earlier on, I'm more solution oriented. I don't really let people just come in and bitch about things. I want to have a solution, and I want to put it on them. Like, I'm not going to solve your problems for you. If it's really something serious that I need to get involved in, absolutely. But
right.
If you, yeah, I mean, I try to help you, or help them help themselves. If you just want to come in and complain about your coworker, I'm gonna be like, what's the point of this? Why don't you go have a conversation with this person? Work this out. You're an adult. We're all adults here. So, I don't really get as much as of the whining. What's the word?
You
I don't
manage it well.
invite it.
Okay.
You know, I don't sit and I don't let people, you know, just get more upset about something, because sometimes if you're just talking about it, you know, you might get more and more upset. And if I'm feeding you, you're definitely
Mhm.
going to get more upset. So I'll listen, but I'm not the complaints department. No.
Got it. Any
Gotcha.
questions from you, Alex?
Let me think. If you were to, so we do it all over again, would you stick with HR or would you have gone another route? And is there anything you would have done differently?
Um, I love HR, and you know, again, I love the company that I work for. So would I
Right.
have done something differently? I don't think so. I mean, more experience right now would be great, but I'm really happy with where I am. I want to get more involved in the HR community. I definitely want to be known as an HR leader in Atlanta.
Hmm.
You know, I do get more involved in groups here in Atlanta, and I know other HR people. HR is a very small world if you think about it. You know, HR teams usually are, you know, maybe 3 people at most, maybe a little bit more, but it's not, you know, you're not going to have a team of, I don't know, 30 people unless you're just huge. It's usually a small world.
Hmm.
So having a group to talk to and other leaders and people to learn from is very important. So that's kind of my goals and where I want to be, and just, you know, be known as in Atlanta as an HR leader and someone people go to.
So you're saying there's like a group out there for basically HR professionals in Atlanta, and they like
There are
meet
many
up?
groups.
Okay.
Yeah, many groups. There's probably the biggest one is SHRM, so Society of Human Resource Management, and they
Oh,
do certifications as well. So I'm SHRM certified. But there's also, I mean, there's so many groups. I'm a part of Best and Brightest companies to work for, which is it's like an award that you get. But we also have an HR peer group, and I'm the host for the peer group in Atlanta, not the facilitator, but I hosted in our office.
hmm. Okay.
There are, I mean, there's like an HR group, not really a group, but you have meetings to discuss things through One Digital. So many large corporations and HR type companies, they also have these groups. So it's once you get involved, you start to meet people, the same people at different events, and that's kind of fun to do, because it's like, oh, I met you here, and now you're in the same, you know, panel with me right now. That's pretty cool.
Is there like a HR convention kind
Oh,
of
of
thing, or
course.
is okay?
It's with SHRM too. So SHRM will have your you know, like Atlanta conference, but then they'll also have like a national conference, and the national ones are, you know, every year they pick a different city.
Okay. Yeah,
Gotcha.
that sounds similar to like I guess every like department now has its own kind of convention. I mean, I'm in um, statistics analytics, and there's like Tableau convention in Vegas, and they party, but they also have like um, workshop sections and learnings and classes that you can take. They also have like people talk, and they have competitions and things. And back when I was in supply chain, they had a supply chain convention. Like I think every single position now has its own like group or club or something like that.
Yeah, everyone's into networking.
You should go to that Vegas event and then hop on over to San Francisco after, David.
Oh, me? Yeah, I
Yeah.
should.
I'm surprised
Now
it's
that
not
the flights
canceled.
are opening up.
Yeah, better book it while it's cheap too.
I might give it a little while. They're saying the numbers are going back up.
Yeah,
What do you
I have a
like
feeling
the
that in a few weeks after all these protests, they're gonna really go up.
numbers as in number of, you mean
Cases.
cases? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It's
Because
no
we
matter,
just
it'll be okay.
crossed 110,000 deaths, right? So
112 now, I believe.
That's
deaths.
and
More
we're
more
still
deaths
not
than
kind of
the
doing things to help prevent people like testing. Oh my God.
I think it's more deaths than what is it, the Korean War or Vietnam War? One of those.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I read an article on that. There's definitely more deaths than
Wait, so there's 110,000 within the U.S. only?
112. I think it's over 112,000 deaths in the U.S.
Yeah.
The cases in the U.S., I think it's approaching 2 million.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand why people aren't doing anything about it. To try.
Well, I can totally understand why because people are kind of. This is just my opinion. I think humans are they don't like to be caged, I guess is the word. I'm thinking I just watched Tiger King, so maybe that kind of is feeding my.
First two episodes and I couldn't stand it.
But like people don't like. It's like people are so mind numbed now and they don't care anymore. Like honestly, I don't track the cases anymore. I mean, I'll read about it now and then, but I used to like look at it every day. Now I don't really know the numbers in detail anymore, and it's almost like if you told me 20,000 deaths happen in a day, I would not flinch anymore. It's already we've been so beaten down by it. So I can see people like definitely going out and a lot of restaurants are already open here in Georgia. A friend of mine went to what's that sushi restaurant in Peachtree Corners? Like Miyamoto's? But
that's not what I'm saying though. What I'm saying is we still haven't done it. Like we barely improved how like the testing of people.
oh, the process
Yeah, like,
is
okay,
still
we're not
crap.
doing anything to try and reduce the number of cases besides sheltering in place.
Yeah, but
sheltering in place is only as good as as people staying in and trying not to infect each other. While other
I know it's really easy to get a test here now.
Yeah, but it's too late, I feel like.
There's definitely, with everything opening up, I feel like there's a false sense of security because, at first it's like, oh my God, like they're opening up. This is crazy.
It
and
is.
then 3 or 4 weeks later, you're like, well, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's gotten too crazy. So then you get comfortable and then you're like, well, this restaurant has an outdoor patio. I can go sit outside and have my dinner. And
Right.
I'm guilty. I mean,
yeah, but
I haven't sat inside of a restaurant. No. Have I sat outside on a patio, where the server has a mask on? I have.
Did you wear the mask to the restaurant?
Yes.
Okay.
But you have to take it off to eat.
I guess what I'm saying is, if you look at the countries that actually reduce their cases significantly or to very low numbers, it's because they actually tested everyone and then figured out who was at risk and then isolated those people.
Right.
America is definitely not doing, even like flying, they don't make sure that people aren't sick, when they fly. And like my friend flew, I think a month and a half ago, and the flight was pretty much full.
Mm-hmm. I heard they're no longer doing middle seat, not allowing people to reserve that because I saw there was a flight, either it was United or American, and there was a news reporter, he was flying back, and basically like the front half of the plane was all seating, even middle seats.
Wow.
I guess what I'm just saying is the U.S. isn't taking this seriously enough, and it's not getting any better.
Yeah,
numbers are going down, but I still think there's going to be a steady rate of people getting sick.
it's too late. Like it's been open too long. You can't like turn around. Like they're saying, unless the numbers go up super significant. Even if the numbers go up, I don't think they'll close and they'll lock states down. I think it has to be like significant to a point.
They shouldn't even be locked. Like I'm saying, what they should have done is what I said, like test people and whatnot. They shouldn't have to lock down states.
True.
I did see that the stock market crashed again today because
I don't know how to do
because of the cases. The cases went up, and supposedly there was a big dip today. I don't know what
Yeah, I mean, I
that's gonna
think
look like, but
yeah, I think there's probably gonna be at least another wave or two before things stabilize. And yeah, I mean, it does seem like stock market is completely relying on coronavirus cases. So,
interesting times.
man, I just hope the shit goes away. I don't even know if I'm gonna end up visiting Atlanta this year.
My company is currently, they just announced that we're likely going to be working from home for the rest of the year.
Really,
Wow.
the rest of the year.
Yeah, rest of the year.
Tina's
That's what I've been told.
actually.
Huh?
Tina might be going to work next week.
Ouch. Good luck.
I think Briana's going into work like what you said twice a week now.
Yeah, so it's voluntary if anyone wants to come back right now, but we don't let more than 20 people other than the core people that have been working.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so I was there on Tuesday and I was in the office today and it's pretty empty. I mean, everyone
Sure.
everyone is very spread apart, and actually some of the people who signed, actually about 60% of the people who, did volunteer to come in, I guess changed their mind and didn't come in.
No,
So
really?
it's very empty, and I did not feel unsafe. You check your temperature when you come in. Everyone has hand sanitizer and cleanser for their work area. Our bathrooms area, the walkways are pretty small, so it's like one way only, one way traffic.
Okay.
So I definitely did not feel unsafe. There are way more people in a grocery store than in the office right now.
Oh yeah, I was in a Home Depot like this week, and I want to say 60% of people were not wearing masks anymore.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's not good.
I mean, all the employees were, and they have the plexiglass things, but still, like, customers just walk by you without masks, and I'm like, great. But I can see, like, it's everywhere. Like, when I go into grocery stores too, I mean, people are not wearing masks anymore. I don't know if they've like run out but I think really it's
Oh
more
no, it's easier to get masks now. We just ordered, the surgical masks from Amazon, so you can get them on Amazon right now. Might want to stock up for the next spike.
Yeah.
That's all for this week. Thank you for listening to the podcast, and tune in next week for more stories about what has got us shaking our heads.